At 20, time feels unlimited, but there is also a sense that whatever direction you head in right now is somehow permanent, that one wrong turn ruins the whole map. There is an intense social pressure to have everything figured out immediately, expected to find the right career, the right partner, and a perfect 5-year plan before you've even finished growing up. This creates a specific kind of pressure. If you believe every decision is forever, you stop making decisions entirely because the cost of being wrong feels too high. And that fear is amplified by the idea that everyone else is watching. We tend to think our peers and society are monitoring our choices, waiting for a misstep or a pivot to judge. But optimizing for a perfect life at 20 is actually the wrong strategy. Trying to lock in a final destination this early ignores the fact that you don't yet have the information you need to make that choice. The biggest risk of your 20s isn't choosing the wrong path. It is waiting for perfect certainty before you start walking at all. Instead of perfection, the goal for this decade is direction. The version of you at 25 will understand things about yourself that the version of you at 20 simply cannot know yet. You aren't trying to find a final answer. You're trying to gather enough real-world experience in work and in relationships to make an increasingly informed decision about where to go next. This is where the math of the decade comes in. Skills grow through compounding, like interest in a bank account, and the most valuable variable in that equation is time. This graph compares two paths. Line A represents starting a skill with mediocre effort at age 20. Line B represents waiting until age 25 to start, but beginning with a much steeper, more talented learning curve. By age 30, the early starter will almost always surpass the late starter. Those extra 5 years of compounding give the person who started early a massive lead, regardless of where their talent level began. Most people fall into the trap of waiting to feel ready or waiting for more free time before they start something meaningful. But the earlier you start, the more time that skill has to become valuable. Certainty at 20 is rare. Messy, imperfect experience is the only thing that actually builds it. It is easy to treat these years as if they don't count toward the final score, but the financial and physical habits you form now set the stage for everything that follows. The goal isn't to reach peak fitness or retire by 30. It's about establishing the default patterns your body and bank account rely on for decades. This chart shows what happens when compounding works against you. A small amount of high-interest debt taken on early grows over time, meaning the things you buy now can end up costing you your financial flexibility well into your 40s. There's a difference between debt that builds a future, like an education, and debt used to finance a lifestyle you can't currently afford. One is an investment. The other is a weight you'll carry for years. The same logic applies to your health. At 20, your body masks the effects of poor sleep and high stress, which makes it feel like these habits don't matter yet. But it is much easier to build a habit of movement now, while your energy is naturally higher, than it is to try and overwrite a sedentary lifestyle when you're 40. The habits you build today set the baseline for your future. They determine the effort required later just to feel healthy and stable. It's common to pour every bit of your energy into your career, while assuming your friendships and family connections will just take care of themselves in the background. But as you become more independent, relationships require the same active effort as your work. Staying in touch and being direct with the people you care about doesn't happen by accident. If you neglect these connections now, they are far harder to rebuild later, when people are geographically scattered and settled into their own separate lives. These relationships are the support system for the more difficult years ahead. If you don't build that net now, it won't be there when you actually need to lean on it. This brings us back to that initial anxiety, the fear that everyone is watching you struggle through a career change or a failed relationship. In reality, most people are far too consumed with their own decisions and their own self-doubt to pay much attention to yours. Your mistakes are much louder in your own head than they are to anyone else. You have permission to drop the perfect 5-year plan. Trade it for messy, directional growth. Your 20s aren't about getting everything right. They are about starting the right things early enough that time can do the heavy lifting for you.